Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, which is entitled A Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 8, which is entitled Questions by King Pariksit. And this morning we're doing text 28. Without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Rupi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamuna Dhiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Astottara Satyasri Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Astottara Satyasri Maharaj Divine Grace Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nāma Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopala Shami Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Vimalandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartmani Shri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tinamani Narayana Namaste Narunchevam Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Ujirayat Nashta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamastuke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 28. Prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavat-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate. Prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavat-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate. Prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavat-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate. Hare Krishna. Please chant.
prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavat-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavato-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate.
Hare Krishna.
prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavat-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prāha bhagavatam nāma purāṇaṁ brahma-sammitam brahmaṇe bhagavat-proktaṁ brahma-kalpa upāgate.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. So we'll do word for word now. Prāha, he said, bhagavatam, the science of the personality of Godhead. Nāma, of the name. Purāṇaṁ, the supplement of the Vedas. Brahma-sammitam, just in pursuance of the Vedas. brahmaṇe, unto Lord Brahma. bhagavat-proktaṁ, was spoken by the personality of Godhead. brahma-kalpa, the millennium in which Brahma was first generated. upāgate, just in the beginning. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. He began to reply to the inquiries of Maharaj Pariksit by saying that the science of the personality of Godhead was first spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is a supplementary Vedic literature, and it is just in pursuance of the Vedas. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the personality of Godhead. The impersonalist always tries to misrepresent the personal feature of the Lord, not knowing the science of this great knowledge. And Srimad Bhagavatam is in pursuance of the Vedas and scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. To learn this science, one should take shelter of the representative of Sri Shukadev and follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Pariksit, without foolishly attempting to interpret, thereby committing a great offense at the feet of the Lord. The dangerous ways of interpretations by the non-devotee class of men have played havoc in understanding the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the careful student should be always alert in this matter if he at all wants to learn the science of Godhead. Oma Gyanati Mirandasya, Gyana Gyana Shalakaya, Chakshum Militam Dhyena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manokritam Stapitam Dhyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshnaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini, Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschathyari Shatarini. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guru Tishe Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Veda Gadadha Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. To the English translation again. He began to reply to the inquiries of Maharaj Pariksit by saying that the science of the personality of Godhead was spoken first by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is a supplementary Vedic literature, and it is just in pursuance of the Vedas. Hare Krishna. So the first pronoun you see, he, means he, Shukadev Goswami. So there have been questions that have been asked by Maharaj Pariksit. They were very deep questions. They were questions connecting both material and spiritual. Mm-hmm. And it was all about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his creation and the details about it. That's what he wanted to know. Mm-hmm. So he asked a number of questions, which is in the same canto, mm-hmm, in the previous texts. And they were very, very, very important. But to stay with the translation, Shukadev Goswami first said that the science of the personality of Godhead, which is extensively covered in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that was spoken first by the Lord himself to Lord Brahma when he was first born. Now then it also explains that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a supplementary Vedic literature, and it's also in pursuance of the Vedas. So what does that mean? Srimad Bhagavatam is a supplementary Vedic literature, and was also in pursuance of the Vedas. Well, first we have to know what supplementary means. Then it may become a little clearer. So according to the dictionary, supplementary can be an important fact and part of something. They're facts, but they're also part of something, or it gives extra support to some statements, in this case, the Vedas. So actually, the word comes from the Latin word supplementum, and it means something added to fix a deficiency. Something added to fix a deficiency. Now, Vyasadeva wrote the entire Vedas, and in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that he was dissatisfied when he finished. He had done tremendous work, but he still didn't feel at heart that this was all there was to it. So he wasn't satisfied. And the Lord arranged for Narada Muni to come. And that deficiency was then added to satisfy Vyasadeva. So Narada Muni did that part. And that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is called the supplementary. So something added to fix Vyasadeva's dissatisfaction after he wrote the Vedas. So supplementary. So the word ends with A-R-Y, the suffix. It means connected with. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is connected with the Vedas, and it also adds more to fix the deficiency, the dissatisfaction that Vyasadeva felt. So if we put the two together, supplement and add, means that means you have something connected with, and also filling in some spots of it. So either supplementary or supplemental, they mean the same thing. Something beyond the primary or the existing one that connects to it. So there were quite a few questions asked by Maharaj Pariksit. It's actually in the same chapter, same canto, but the previous text, which is actually begins from text 7 and ends in text 23. Now, just a quick recap of that. Shukadeva Goswami was asked by Maharaj Pariksit, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. The spirit soul, we're different from the material body. Srila Prabhupada has preached that so many times. We're not the body, we're not body with the spirit soul. And the nature of it is first summarized by Sri Krishna in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. In the text 22, 23, 24, 25, talks about the nature of the soul. But then Maharaj Pariksit is asking, does the spirit soul require or acquire this body accidentally or by some cause? That's the first question. And he also asked Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, meaning Garbhodakshaya Vishnu in particular. He has a huge body based on his own caliber. What's the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of the common living entities? Then Maharaj Pariksit also asked for explanation of the Paramatma. He also asked about the planets of the universe being in the Virat Rupa, the Virat Purusha, the gigantic body. Then he asked for their actual positions. So he also asked the duration of time between creation and annihilation, and other subsidiary creations also. He wanted to know the nature of time, indicated by past, present, and future. He wanted to know the measurement of life of different living beings and the demigods and the human beings in the different planets in the universe. He wanted to know the different durations of time, short and long. Time itself means we actually use a few of those, but there's far more units of time. We know about the second, we know about the minute, We know about the hour, we know about the day, we know about the month, we know about the year, and then a few times we talk about decades and centuries. Now that's where it ends for us. But actually there are split seconds that have even actual names attached to those. So he wanted to know all of that. And he also wanted to know about karma, accumulation of reactions resulting from different modes of material nature. He wanted to know about the different planets in the universe. He wanted to know about the four directions of the heavens, the sky, planets. He wanted to know outer space of the universe. He wanted to know the different ages and the duration of each one of them. So he was really asking very extensive questions, mostly about the material world and how it's put together, from the Supreme Personality of God himself, and even to the details, the types of bodies, material as well as spiritual. He wanted to know all of that, how the living beings are generated, and he wanted to know even how the independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his potency, and at the time of annihilation, gives him up, gives all of this up to the external potency, allowing Lord Shiva to do his work, and then he witnesses it all. How does it all break down? Very pertinent questions. And in this text today, it explains that Shukadeva Goswami is going to take all of them one by one and explain in detail. Now, we know by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that there is the spiritual and then there is the material. And to understand what our situation is, we have to know both. We have to know about the material. We have to know also about the spiritual in order to make the choice that we will become convinced about. When we choose spiritual, we have to choose spiritual not because we were just told to, choose a spiritual. That would be like, it's good, but it's elementary. I remember sometimes when you ask some little kids, why are you in school? They tell you, well, mommy said I should come to school, therefore I come to school. I'm just obeying mommy. I don't know what the school is about. You don't go to that extent. The first sentence is the answer. Mommy said I should come, therefore I've come. And most kids in the beginning don't like to go to school. And still Prabhupada says, but if you force them and let them go regularly, automatically they begin to go. So it starts like that with the instructions of the spiritual master. We have a little faith. And as things get explained to us, then we become more convinced. And as we become more convinced, we become more attached to the spiritual. And then as we get attached to the spiritual, Srila Prabhupada has already explained that Krishna, or the spiritual, is light, and Maya is darkness. Therefore, the more we get to know about light, the more darkness automatically dissipates. So then in our minds, we want the spiritual and not the material. We all have experience of this to a certain extent, to certain levels. The more convinced we become about the spiritual being the best situation for us, and that the material is temporary, the better off we are. So, in Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila, incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is talking to his mother Devahuti and explaining devotional service and also the material energy. So we'll take a little section of that for part of our discussion. Lord Kapila's explanation is called Sankhya philosophy. He talks about the material and he talks about the spiritual in such a way that any intelligent person, doesn't have to be super intelligent, any person whose mind is straight would choose the spiritual over the material. So in chapter 29 of Canto 3, first of all, Srila Prabhupada has directed us towards devotional service. And we also know there are the three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So how do these two marry together? Devotional service and ignorance, passion, and goodness. So Lord Kapila explained this in text 8 of Canto 3, this chapter 29. It starts with a person doing devotional service, but they still have tendencies in the modes of ignorance. And Lord Kapila explains that devotional service executed by a person who is envious, a person who is proud, even violent, and prone to anger, and who is a separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. Now, the word separatist here means a person that likes things for themselves. They like to be in control, rather than, they say they're doing devotional service, but they are really at the very, very beginning stages of it. So many anathas are there. So they are envious of other devotees, envious sometimes even of guru. So everybody comes and offers obeisances to this particular personality. And he thinks he's got it made. Sometimes in their minds, person in more ignorance, they think like that. I'll never bow to a guru. I'll just go straight to Krishna. I never bow to Guru. But Guru is Krishna's representative. And Krishna put the whole idea of Guruship there for us to practice how to serve Krishna, because we didn't want to serve Krishna. We wanted to be in control in the spiritual world. So we got put here to try to be in control. Now, after we got battered around by the material energy for a while, we begin to realize that actually Krishna seemingly is giving us a chance to be in control, but we are trying to control a situation that is very, very, very precarious and traumatic. And for a while, Maya would cover our minds and say, oh, it's fine, it's fine. In the United States, there's so many things. You can buy a nice car, you can get the American dream and you'll be happy. But they never tell you that you're going to get old. They never tell you you're going to get sick. They never tell you that you're only here temporary and you're going to die. And those things that don't have any solutions from science, they hide that part. They tell you, oh, you're going to be in bliss. There is no happiness in the material world. Real happiness doesn't exist here. Yehi samspasa japoga dukayunaya evate. That's why it's there in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 22. It says that the intelligent person is not interested in things that are temporary. Because, it has an end. It has a beginning, it has an end. And when it ends, even if it was nice, it ends and it's gone. And you can only dream about it, but you can't experience it anymore. So it's better, the wise person, to have something that's nice and permanent. This is the spiritual world. So devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and even prone to anger, and wants control, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. Then Lord Kapila says, in passion, a person worshiping the deities in the temple with a motive for material enjoyment, with a motive for fame, with a motive for opulence, that person is working in the mode of passion. So they worship the deities, true enough, but they have ulterior motives. They prefer material enjoyment, which means somebody may be worshiping the deities because the material enjoyment seems to be okay. And if it gets challenged, then all of a sudden, I don't know about Krishna. He's the supreme personality of God, but he didn't save me in this situation, and now I have some trouble. Therefore, I'm not going to take this whole thing that I was doing seriously. There have been people who are like that. I know one Mataji whose husband was quite well-to-do, got a very nice job, got a big house and 2 kids. And then the husband fell sick. Now, she doesn't work. He fell sick. And the sickness was actually life-threatening. And we all heard about it. He used to come to the temple. And then, at that time, temple was not under ISKCON, by the way, to make that distinction. And then, next thing you know, she stopped coming. And people who questioned her, he said that, but my husband is sick and Krishna didn't do anything about it, so I don't know about Krishna. Just paraphrasing, but this was the idea. That's not the way we should look at things. We should always be willing to serve Krishna in whatever situation. Whatever situation we're in. So only material Krishna would never have us totally be down and out. He says, by Kanteya Pratijanihi, you declare, my devotee will never perish. Krishna does protect. The difficulties that come have embedded in it lessons that we're supposed to learn. And the lessons will help us mature. And the lessons will be also situations that sometimes we get into later that somebody else has that problem and you've been through it before. Therefore, if we tell you, Krishna arranges for them to come tell you what the problem is, you will know what the solution is because you've been through it. Then you can advise even better. So even what seems negative, there's a reason for it. So everything is actually, as they say in this country, is all good. It just depends on the way we look at it. So a person who wants material enjoyment, fame, and opulence, and still doing devotional service is in a mode of passion. Now, sattva, goodness. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the result of his activities in order to free himself from the craziness of fruitive activities, then his devotion is in the mode of goodness. So they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the results of his activities are offered in order to free himself. So still there's a motive from the inebrieties of fruitive activities. Inebriety means drunkenness, the craziness, as we like to put it. He's in the mode of goodness. Now, what is Suddha Sattva? Transcendental devotional service. So the person who is involved with unadulterated devotional service, that happens when one's mind is at once attracted to the hearing of the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of a Ganges, and Lord Kapila gives an analogy, just as the water of Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, not interrupted by any material condition, flows toward the Supreme Lord. So a person who has a lot of ignorant type activity, envious, proud, violent, angry, and just time to do devotional service, that's in the mode of darkness. A person who is doing devotional service, but they are very much attached to material enjoyment, they're attached to fame, opulence, they are in the mode of passion. A person who is in the mode of goodness, they are doing devotional service, but they are doing it with the idea to free themselves. There's a motive behind it. There's a motive behind it. Although it's not the worst motive in the world to free themselves from fruitive activities, it's not bad. It's certainly better than passion and ignorance. But the person who does unadulterated devotional service, that's where Srila Prabhupada wants us to get to. And they get excited by hearing the name and the qualities of the Lord. And their heart just goes to that feeling easily and stays there. That person is transcendental. They are serving in Suddha Sattva. So that's a pure devotee. And what does a pure devotee do? Pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation. There are 5 kinds of liberation. They don't want any of them. They don't necessarily want to be in Krishna's abode, and their opulence and the form and all those kind of things. Although Krishna gives it freely to such a person, to the pure devotee. The pure devotee always just simply wants to serve. That's why in the Shishastaka, Lord Chaitanya says, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam va Jagadisha Kamaye, Mama Janmani Janmaniswari, Bhavatat Bhakti, Ahotiki, Twayi. I don't want wealth, Dhanam, Najanam, I don't want followers. Nasundarim, I don't want a very beautiful partner. He says, birth after birth, even after return to the material world, birth after birth after birth, all I want to do is Devotional service from the heart, over and over and over again. As long as you want me here, wherever you want me, I just serve. Hmm? So the pure devotee's prayer, Srila Prabhupada describes in one of his lectures. You may have me come to the material world as many times as you want, my dear Lord, if that's what you want. But my only request is, let me be born in the house of the devotee so that I cannot forget you. I can always remember you and serve you. Other than that, you can take me wherever you want to take me. So a devotee should execute his prescribed duties, not looking for material profit. So that service should be done regularly. And not only regularly, the devotee must look forward to doing the service, and must be pleased when the opportunity comes to do the service, must feel fortunate that they've been given the opportunity to do the service. And this is true because billions of people in the world are not even chanting the holy name, much less do any other type of devotion service. Billions. So, a person who is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually quite fortunate. But it is also important to move from the mode of ignorance to the mode of passion, to the mode of goodness, and then purified goodness. That is also necessary. So the pure devotee should execute, this is Lord Kapila explaining, devotional service by giving the greatest respect to the spiritual master and to their acharyas. Why did it say give the greatest respect to the spiritual master and their acharyas? Some people's mind was, oh, they didn't talk about give the greatest respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just said the spiritual master and the acharyas. Well, there's a reason for that. The reason that the pure devotee should give the greatest respect to the spiritual master and the acharyas is because Krishna himself has set up the spiritual master for us to practice how to relate to him, Krishna. And Krishna is not worried. Krishna is not envious. He appointed the spiritual master. If we are conditioned souls, if we serve the spiritual master with the same intensity, with the understanding that this is my practice in how to serve Krishna, then Krishna is going to be pleased about it. Yashat Prasad Bhagavat Prasad, as Srila Prabhupada sometimes explains that in another way. He says, when Guru is satisfied, Krishna is satisfied. So then if we give the greatest respect to the spiritual master and their charges, then Krishna will be satisfied. And it is through him that their charges, this whole line is there, beginning from himself. He's on the top of the line of disciplic succession. So a pure devotee should also be compassionate to the poor and then make friendship with persons who are his equals. But every activity should be done under the regulation with control of the senses. Always check the mind. The mind can become a friend. It can become a friend. Sometimes it just puts us in all kinds of precarious situations, bad situations. But the mind can become a friend. First of all, we have to be disconnected with the material energy. It means see the material energy for what it is. We have to see the material energy for what it is. It seems to give us so much, but it really doesn't have anything to give us of substance. It seems to have a lot, but it doesn't really have much at all. That's why Srila Prabhupada calls it the phantasmagoria. It seems to have so much. Material energy is like a pie in the sky. There is no pie in the sky, but it seems like the pie is there, and we try to go for it. There are people who have done so much in the material energy and become very wealthy, multimillionaires. I remember one that was a radio talk show host. He's left the body now. He got sick and then he died from sickness. He was brutally honest. People liked that about him. So one person, and he talked politics, but one person asked him to radio talk shows, so you could call in and ask him. They said, his name is Russell. Right, you're pretty wealthy now. Tell us about the rich person and their conception of life. Are you happy because of the wealth? And this guy is brutally honest. So the way he answered it is, money can buy you whatever you want. Money can buy you whatever you want. But happiness from the heart, money can't give you. It cannot give you. Actually, happiness begins when we begin to see the world for what it is, the material world for what it is. And it says, and begin to have that idea that if I stay in the material world and connect all my marbles, as the way we speak, to the material world, I'm not going to be happy. Everything that's being thrown at me, I can see through it. This isn't something that's really going to make me happy. Therefore, I'll tolerate, but I will not connect with it. Mentally, I will not connect, especially I will not connect my heart to it. I'll just use what I need to use as is necessary. But I'm not going to be fooled by anything that anyone tells me, oh, it's going to be, my life is going to be better because of materialism. It won't be. And as soon as we come to that conclusion and convince ourselves totally about it, happiness comes just like that in the heart. When we free ourselves mentally from the material energy, we are happy immediately. Immediately. Because it's like our eyes are finally open and we see things as they are. In other words, we don't get fooled anymore by the material energy. That's why we had this series about the Avadut Brahman. The Avadut Brahman was totally disconnected from the material energy. And he felt very free and he felt very happy. That's why when King Yadu met him, he said, this man is traveling. He seems so happy. He seems so carefree. Why? Then the king asked him, and Avadut Brahman says, I have taken shelter of 24 gurus. And he listed the gurus. Now, the gurus are not personalities necessarily. Some of them are people, but even the elements around us, the earth, the sun, fire, the wind. I mean, he just listed so many. And even the birds, the pigeon, even the prostitute, the boy, and the marriageable girl that's reached that marriageable age, and the wasp, spider. He watched all the activities in the material energy, how they do and how they think. And then he concluded, this is the way I should live my life. So we've been going through some of the series. And today we'll just talk about Canto 11, Chapter 9. It's the last bit here for this class. So, in text 22, Canto 11, Chapter 9, if out of love, hate, or fear, an embodied soul fixes his mind with intelligence and complete concentration upon a particular bodily form, then he will certainly attain the form that he is meditating upon. Krishna has said that also in Bhagavad Gita, that without a doubt, at the time of death, whatever you're thinking, the arrangement will be made to get a body that suits that type of thinking. And as I asked my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, what kind of thought comes to a person's mind at the time of death? He said, the thought that comes is the one that we have spent most of our lives concentrating on. That's the one that's going to be present in our minds. That means the dominating thoughts. That's the ones that will come. That's why we are prodded to keep repeating the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because it floods our minds with the thoughts of Radha and Krishna. So that when the time comes to leave the body, then we will be meditating on the one that we've been thinking about most, Radha Krishna. And then we will go to the abode of Radha Krishna. Just like Sri Krishna himself promised. So Lord Kapila, who's also an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if out of whatever the feelings, it could be loving that particular species, hating, or fearing, that person, the embodied soul, fixes their mind and intelligence and completely concentrates on that particular bodily form, they're going to get that form. And he told a story. He told, my dear King Yadu, there was a wasp. So that wasp forced a weaker insect to enter his home. It's called a hive. And then he kept that weaker insect trapped there. So this insect was very fearful of the wasp. So this weak insect constantly meditated upon the wasp, his captor. And he gradually changed. And giving up his old body, he achieved the same state of existence as the wasp. Thus, one achieves a state of existence according to one's constant, and that's the key word, constant concentration. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara, Lord Chaitanya himself, who really did a lot of kirtan in Navadvip, every day, chant the holy name of the Lord, chant the holy name of the Lord, listen to Krishna Katha, listen to Krishna Leela, like that. Then, just like this small insect felt his was out of fear. The wasp trapped it, put it in his home. So, of course, he was going to kill and eat it. And the insect concentrated on the wasp. So the next body, he became a wasp. What? So this is what we have to be careful about. So there will be so many answers given. Wonderful answers given by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit's question. Bhagavatam is, in fact, the supplementary Vedas. It connects to the Vedas, but all the important things that at first Vyasadeva was dissatisfied with, that Narada Muni helped him, that is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, mainly about devotional service and the science of understanding Krishna. So now that we're connected with it, especially in the Sampradaya, Brahma-Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya, Brahma-Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, that takes us back to Krishna Loka, that wonderful planet, farthest one from all the planets in the spiritual world, where the relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so variegated and so wonderful. We are fortunate to have the opportunity to go, and we're also fortunate to be connected with the Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives the essence. It does connect with the Vedas, but it gives the essence, the real important points about what the whole Vedas is about. So, needless to say, keep hearing, keep chanting, and don't get into a situation that the little insect got in, thinking about material things, because that will give us a material body. Think about Krishna, we go back to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Chira Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll stop here. And this is the time, devotees, if you feel inclined to ask questions, share realizations, and so on. This is the time. You can unmute yourself and share as you like. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any comments? Anyone with a comment or question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please
Hare
accept.
Krishna.
Yes.
That's mine.
Thank you very much for
Hare
the
Krishna.
beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Yes. Haribol. And
Haribol.
it's such a beautiful, actually, every chapter has such wonderful lessons and beautiful insights.
Absolutely.
The help of Srila Prabhupada's purports and further, talks he gave on these verses. It really is a source of great enlightenment and something we can carry from these classes to further reflect on. And so this chapter further you nicely correlated and gave references from Canto 3 on devotional service. Devotional service executed in 3 modes. I'm wondering if you feel appropriate, if you can quickly just share your insight from your experience and what you have heard further, or in Srila Prabhupada's talk or Vaishnavacharya's talks. How should one stay tolerant in an environment where devotional service is, being executed in modes of passion and ignorance, so that one stays inspired, one looks forward to, coming back to working for pleasing Krishna again and again?
I think it's a nice question. How to be in an environment and stay focused in an environment where even there's devotion service, but devotion service in the modes, especially passion and ignorance. The realization should actually come to us. First, we look at the positive side of things. These devotees that are serving in the mode of passion and ignorance, they are serving. They are serving. A whole lot of people are not even serving at all. Just like when Srila Prabhupada was very satisfied and very much feeling that there was a need to encourage devotees to move on. When he had the first people that came around him in New York, they were hippies, smoking, which means they're involved in intoxications and illicit sex, many of these that are regulated principles that we don't involve ourselves in. Srila Prabhupada knew that. But what little chanting they did, what little dancing that they did, Srila Prabhupada appreciated that. So he pulls that. So one way we can look at it is, if we can advise to bring devotees who are serving past ignorance, past passion, to at least goodness. They still have some material motive, but goodness is there. That is a great achievement in itself. So, one, we can be a good example ourselves. We should strive for Suddha Sattva, pure devotion. We should strive for that. And then around us in the community, when others see that we're serving that way, they also get inspired. The devotees may not say much, but they see what's happening. Just like when you have children, they get up to the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, they do begin to see parents for who they are. Yes, they've been listening to instructions, but then they see who they are. So people do, in fact, watch what others do. Now, the realization that makes it a little easier to deal with situations where people are serving, but they're serving in the modes. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Maghu Maharaj explained it to us. It actually has to do with our own consciousness. Rather than see anybody who is serving in the mode of passion or ignorance as a bad person, we shouldn't look at them that way. We should look at them as a sick person. Nobody beats up a person that is sick. When you're sick, if the person at the very least leaves you alone or stays away from you, or when the person is sick, a person who really wants to help, tries to help them to get better. So we're going from the idea of a person being mentally bad, ignorant, in a passionate mood, to a person who is sick. So when we think of a person being sick, then our mind says how to heal that person. When we say the person is bad, then we think how to reject that person. But when the person is sick, then we think how to heal that person. So those who would listen, you can give them a little bit tidbits here of how to improve their devotion. But the major thing is you yourself be the great example. You want others to follow a certain path, be that particular path yourself. Have it. And then they'll follow. And that's why also, another point, in nectar of instruction, a person has to be tolerant. We are in the material world. These are conditioned souls. I myself am a conditioned soul. They have weak points or lower natures. I have lower nature. So we're all in this together. So they are sick. Maybe over the years from hearing and chanting and serving with seriousness, my sickness has gone down. And their sickness is still raging like anything, but it is sickness. So how to help them to be better, that should be our concentration. And with that understanding that, all right, we're in the material world, we all were envious of Krishna, that's why we got put here. We are fortunate that we know now why we're here, because billions of people don't even understand why they're in the material world. They think in the material things they acquired, they're going to give them happiness. When things are getting destroyed all around them, and the weather sometimes just gives us so much problems. So with that understanding that, yes, it's an unfortunate situation to be here in the material world, let me do better, and those who would listen, let me guide them based on what Srila Prabhupada said. But they're not bad. Devotees, they're sick. They have a certain level of sickness. The worst one is more ignorance. Then a little better, more the passion. And then when they get almost healed, more the goodness. And then when they get completely healed, then Sudha Sattva. So look at it in terms of sickness. And all right, so it's the material world's like that. It is what it is. As my God sister likes to say, it is what it is. Do the best to fly through this, because Krishna has given us all the protection. Even them, they're in the moods also. We're all in it to some extent. In that way, we can in fact go on. But be the best example, though, of the things that should be done right. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for asking the question. It's a very important one.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was
Hare Krishna. Jai. Any other questions or comments? If not, then I would like to ask that permission that we end the class. Thank you for coming. And we are all in this together. So let's help each other. Nobody should just have hate for anyone. Just understand we're all in certain levels of recovery from sickness. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhischa kripasunive evacha titanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again for coming. Hare Krishna. Jai.